Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we're going to look at the 24 books I'd like to read in 2024. I enjoy creating lists, and so this is one of my favorite things to do at the beginning of every year is to create a list of books that I'm interested in reading, and I usually do pretty well with getting through all of them. I try and make a list that pulls in a lot of my goals for the year and books that have been on my backlist. So these are not new releases. They will be lists or books that have been on my TBR for a hot minute, and just things that I want to remind myself that, hey, this is a goal that I had in mind. This is a book that would help me accomplish it. And so I have like a list of books to choose from. I have separated this list into 5 different categories. So I have a fantasy category, a horror category, sci-fi, mystery thriller, and then like a miscellaneous category as well. And so we're going to start with my fantasy category. So the first fantasy book that I would like to read is Engines of Chaos. So this book is the second book in the Age of Uprising series. The first is Engines of Empire, and Engines of Empire was my top third, how do I say that? My third favorite book from 2023, and I can't wait to get back into this world. It is about an empire that is in turmoil. You get to follow a noble family in this. I won't get too much into the details of each book since I have 24 to go through, but I can't wait to continue in this series. The next book on this list is Voyage of Basilisks. This is the third book in the Lady Trent memoirs. So Lady Trent studies dragons, and she has gotten to a very famous part in her life, and she's decided to write her memoirs, and these are the books that follow her life. And I just have absolutely loved this. It's such a cozy series. It's one of my series that I go to whenever I'm in a reading slump, and I can't wait to continue this as well this year. Next is another book in another series, and that is The Burning Page. This is the third book in the Invisible Library series, which is a series that follows a library that's connected to a whole bunch of different realms, and you have the librarians that protect the library and also are in charge of like going out and confiscating artifacts that the library needs to protect. It's been a lot of fun. There are dragons and fairies, and it's just such a massive world. And the main character, Irene, is super sassy, and I have just enjoyed being in her head and following along with her antics. The next book has probably been on my TBR the longest out of this list, and that is The Ember Blade. I don't know much about this other than it is inspired by Lord of the Rings. It is a journey book, quest book, and you have a cast of characters, and I've just been interested because of the fact that it was inspired by the Lord of the Rings. And so yeah. Next is Malice by Gwynne. So this is following along with my goal of reading authors that I have enjoyed before. So I have been reading, the Bloodsworn Saga is what this series is called. So The Shadow of the Gods and The Hunger of the Gods. I read both of those last year, I believe. And I just really enjoy Gwynne's writing, and so I would like to continue in another series. I know that he's not done with the Bloodsworn Saga, but I can start another series while I'm waiting. The sixth book is Elantris from Brandon Sanderson. So I have not read all of the Cosmere books, and I would like to. And so this is one of the books I'm putting on this list to meet that goal. Elantris, I know, was one of Brandon Sanderson's earlier works, and I know it has to do with a magic system kind of going awry. I don't know if Elantris is a city or if it's a planet, but I'll find out. The seventh book is the Xanth series by Piers Anthony, and the first book in the series is, I think it's The Spells of Chameleon, maybe. I'll put a picture up so you guys can see it. And I have just wanted to read something by Piers Anthony. I have never read any Piers Anthony books, and so that's why this is on this list. This was recommended by John over at Hey Y'all Listen Up. And so yeah, I'm excited to give this author a try. The next book is The Empire of Exiles. So this has been on my Kindle for quite a while, and it is an epic fantasy. It's featuring an empire of some sort that I think there's a revolution going on. There's some mages, scribes, and archivists that are having to work together and help. I don't know if they're trying to help the empire tumble or if they're trying to prevent it from toppling, but I'm not sure. So I've really enjoyed some epic fantasy recently, and so I just want to continue reading epics. The last fantasy book that I have on this list is The Fairy Bargains of Prospect Hill. I've talked about this book on my channel before. I really want to get into goblin books, and this book does something that sounds kind of like the goblin market, and that is something that I've just wanted to read more and more of. And so you follow two sisters. I think one of the sisters ends up getting kidnapped, and it talks about the fact that this hill that they live on, they have been making bargains with fairies. So I know it's not goblins, but there are some goblin market feels that go along with this. And so I'm excited to see if that actually is true for this book, or if we're dealing with something different with the Fae that I haven't seen before. The next book is Demon in White. This is the third book in the Sun Eater series, and I started it last year. I was not giving it my full attention, and so I ended up soft DNFing it, and I really do want to continue with the series because I absolutely loved the first two books. It's just a series that takes a little bit of concentration because it's definitely dense sci-fi, and I can't wait though to get back with Hadrian. So this book follows Hadrian Marlowe, who is kind of an infamous character. He has been known to eradicate other races and destroy planets, and you get to see kind of how he got to that point in his life. So this series is him telling his life story. The next sci-fi read on this list is Chilling Effects, and this has been on my TBR for a little bit. I just think it sounds like a lot of fun. It says, I'm just going to read like a snippet of the synopsis: a hilarious offbeat debut space opera that skewers everything from pop culture to video games and features an irresistible foul-mouthed captain and her motley crew, strange life forms, exciting twists, and a galaxy full of fun and adventure. And on the cover, there's like a whole bunch of floating cats in space, which I think it sounds fun, and I'm ready for a lighthearted sci-fi, and it's a debut. Number 12 on this list is Time Machine. This is an H.G. Wells, and I want to get more into sci-fi, and H.G. Wells is a good place to do that. I know that this might be is this his first novel? I can't remember, but it features a time machine, and a person, I believe, travels in time 800,000 years past when they are like past their time, and they get to kind of see what happens to the world. And that's all I really know. The next book is Rogue Protocol, which is the third book in the Murderbot series. Murderbot is an artificial intelligence who is meant to help humans, and all Murderbot really wants to do is sit at home and watch Netflix and ignore humanity. However, that's not actually what happens, and you get to see this AI's intelligence and personality come through, and you get to see other AI throughout the novel as well, or throughout the novellas. They're all very, very short books. They've been a lot of fun, and so I just want to put this on my list to remind myself that this is a series I need to get to this year. The next read is going into my horror novels, and that is The Crane Husband. This book is by Kelly Barnhill, which is an author I've really enjoyed in the past. So it's one of the reasons this is ending up on this list. I also just think this is a really interesting premise. You have a mother-daughter duo. I think maybe there's one other sibling involved as well, and they've kind of been on their own for a while, and the mother has not really brought home any boyfriends, and suddenly the mother brings home a crane. And there are some nefarious things going on with the crane. I'm not quite sure what's happening, but I've heard a lot of people talk about this and how beautiful the writing is and some of the themes that the book covers. And so I'm interested to read another of Kelly Barnhill's works. I've read a lot of her middle grade and one of her adult novels. So yeah, I'm excited to dive back in. Number 15 is Fantasticland. I put this on this list because I really enjoy the premise of theme parks and horror. And I read Hyde. I can't remember if I read it last year or the year prior, but I hated it. I did not like the execution at all, but I really liked that premise. And this popped up on Mary's channel and I just think it sounds fantastic, and it follows that same premise. And once again, I'm trying to get into horror this year more than I have in the past couple years, and so this is one of the books that I would like to get to. Number 16 is The Haunting of Hill House. I have only read one other Shirley Jackson, and I just think I need to alleviate that issue in my life. And so that's the reason that I'm picking this up. All I know about it is there's a haunted house involved, and I've heard numerous people just rant and rave about this book, and so I need to see what all the hype's about. I know that this is one of Michaela's favorites, and I just can't wait to get to it. The last horror read on this list is Suburban Hell. One of the things I said last year that I would like to get into, one of the subgenres of horror, is quirky horror, and I think that this will fit into it. This follows a suburban neighborhood. I think it follows several women in the neighborhood, and they end up doing something that causes this nefarious spirit to come into their lives and into their neighborhoods. And the synopsis said something about how the HOA gets involved, which I think it's going to be fantastic. It sounds super silly and creepy as well. Number 18 is in my mystery thriller category, and I'm really not sure if that's where it should go, I think. So this is about a woman who gets murdered by a serial killer, and somehow the government brings her back, and she is put back into her life, and she doesn't know who killed her. And so she kind of suspects everyone around her. I don't really know where it goes from there, but it sounds fantastic. I think it's a mystery just because of the fact that she has to solve her own murder. And I don't think I've ever read a book where someone is solving their own murder, with the exception of The 7 Lives of Evelyn Hugo, Seven and a Half. I mix those books up all the time. The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is what I was looking for there, which I really enjoyed, and so I would like to read that premise again. Next is another book that I think fits into the mystery thriller category. I'm not sure. It's called Night Film, and it is about a girl who gets murdered whose father is a really famous cult horror film director who has not been seen by the public in like 30 years, and so the detectives kind of dig into his life along digging into her murder. Book number 20 is The Department of Sensitive Crimes. This book reminds me a little bit of the description of The Stranger Times, which I really enjoyed. It's supposed to be a department that tries to solve crimes that are oddities and have a little bit of a mystery component, but maybe not a fatalistic component to it. So I know that the synopsis, whenever I read this, sounded like it had a whole bunch of quirky characters involved as well. So if we have that cast of characters that I really enjoyed with The Stranger Times, I think that I'm gonna love this. Number 21 is The Secret Adversary by Agatha Christie. This is just another author that I need to continue with. I have read one of Poirot's books, and I would like to start with a Tommy and Tuppence series as well and continue from there into both of those series. Number 22 is the start of my miscellaneous category, and this is Nothing to See Here. I've heard excellent things about this book, and I just want to know what it's about. I know that it has, I think, themes of adoption in it. There are some children who spontaneously combust in like our normal world, and the person who's taking care of them has to figure out how to help them. Number 23 is The Posthumous Memoirs of Bras Cabas. I heard about this on Murphy Napier's channel, and at the time it just sounds like a blast. It is a classic, which is not really something that I gravitate towards, but it's apparently the memoirs of someone who is dead, and I think they're dead as they're writing the memoir, and they're telling you about what happened in their lives, and I think there are footnotes on like what they think, or maybe there's just like thoughts of like what happened and why, and the person's supposed to be really sassy. I don't know, it sounds like a blast. It sounds really weird, and I want to figure out what it's about. And number 24, I am putting a nonfiction on this list. It is a nonfiction that has been on my TBR for a very long time, and that is The Hidden Life of Trees. I would also like to read Braiding Sweetgrass, so both of those are kind of on my nonfiction mind, but The Hidden Life of Trees is something that it's literally popped up on Libby multiple months in a row, and I just keep delaying my hold because I really do want to read it. It's about, I think, how trees communicate and how they live amongst each other and help one another, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I need to get in the mindset of reading nonfiction, and honestly, I just need to start because I think I'm going to love it when I start it. But for whatever reason, I I avoid nonfiction like the plague, and I need to break that habit in 2024. So those are the 24 books that I want to read in 2024. There will be plenty more, but these are the ones that I kind of want at the forefront of my mind, and I will check in with you guys throughout the year to make sure that I am meeting this goal. If you guys have any books that you absolutely want to read this year, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to chat with you guys. Tell me what you want to read, why you want to read it, and how long it's been on your TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.